Yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of a shark frenzy for free agency this year, 2015. And Chris Sheridan made a list. He likes to make lists of his top 10. Actually, he made a top 50 list of his free. We're not going to go that far. We'll try to do top 10. Number one on the list, 30-year-old Marc Gasol. Woodwendy's been with Memphis forever, his whole career. In fact, he's lived in the city since I think he was 17 years old. His parents lived there since the days of Powell. Do you think there's any chance he leaves?
No, not a chance. The kid from Memphis, he grew up there, he's staying there. He said this morning that the way the Lakers treated Powell, his brother, he didn't like the way it ended, so there's no chance going to LA. I don't see him going anywhere, so him and Zach Randolph are staying there for a few years.
Phil, not even to the Spurs?
Look, I think the Spurs would be a better chance to win a championship, but I think he's that kind of guy who wants to stay in his hometown. And I don't know, the Spurs might be a little slow. Him and Tim Duncan, I don't really see that. If Tim Duncan was a 22-year-old version of himself, maybe, but I think he's best played in center. So I think while it would be good, if Tim Duncan had not, re-up for another year or two, I'd say sure. Yeah. With Tim Duncan there, I think there's better fits.
And also, they brought in Matt Barnes, who I think was a smart move for Memphis, so they're trying to add more pieces. One of the other big who's getting a lot of attention, beside him, number 2 on the list, is LaMarcus Aldridge. Everyone's saying he's very likely out of Portland, looking at maybe LA and a couple of Texas teams. He grew up in Dallas. Where do you think he's going to end up?
Honestly, I think it's going to end up in LA. I mean,
really?
Yeah, and the thing is, the word is the fact that Damian Lillard got all the attention in Portland was an issue with LaMarcus, and that's one of the reasons why he's leaving, right? So I don't see him back in Portland. I mean, San Antonio, even in a few years, is Kawhi Leonard team. I mean, do you see him with James Harden? I don't see him in those teams as well. For him, for his career, next 2 years.
Well, I was hearing with Dallas, Lakers. Right?
Yeah.
Where he grew up.
Dallas and San Antonio seem to be the two. Dallas, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense with Dirk and Chandler Parsons. There's zero defense.
Monta's gone now, too.
That's it.
Exactly. I actually really like the San Antonio fit. I think, as I just said, Tim Duncan needs to play center, the LaMarcus power forward with Aldridge. I think that makes a ton of sense. LA, just touch on your point. I think it's okay, but him and Julius Randle, it's not much defense in that front court. I think they already have enough scoring in Randle, Kobe, and Russell.
Is Randle that good? I mean, they've been hyping him up a lot.
I liked him in the
He's your
preseason.
third scorer.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
He's got a lot of work, and hopefully he stays healthy. Number 3, Kevin Love. He's going to be a free agent again this year. He said publicly he wants to stay. He's been saying this for a few months. You think he stays?
I don't think you can believe anything Kevin Love says, honestly.
Boston's been recruiting for quite a while.
That's it, and that's one of the
That's kind
perfect
of an
fits for
interesting
him.
recruiting job by dislocating his shoulder, but just...
Well, you can get rid of Olenek. Just trade him.
you have to know if he was ever going to go to Boston. Olenek's out the door.
I don't think he was okay this year playing that third role in Cleveland. I don't think he has that Chris Bosh mentality. Like, he's sacrificing everything for the team. Boston would be a good fit. LA, we've heard LA for a long time. He's from Oregon. He's from Oregon. Portland's a dark horse.
Yeah, that's good.
That's an interesting fit. I actually think that's a good fit.
Yeah. They lost Batum though. Traded him away. I'm still shaking my head at that.
They gave up.
Although it's interesting because we're talking about those two power forwards. I have heard some rumors that if Love leaves, the guy we brought up right before, LaMarcus Aldridge, could be his replacement. And that would be interesting in Cleveland, LaMarcus Aldridge. Imagine they switch spots. You get Kevin Love in Portland, which I actually think is a great fit, and LaMarcus Aldridge in Cleveland vying for a championship.
Number 4 on the list, one of my favorite players in the league. He's got big hands. Kawhi Leonard.
Spur.
Yeah.
There is no way
they let
they
him
let
go.
him. Well, because they don't even have a real another building block aside from him, first off. And he's proved himself year after year, just getting better and better.
He seems like the lower top.
You can't trade a guy like that.
Yeah, he's going to be, if he signs their first quote-unquote max deal ever in the history of the franchise. Because Tim always took a little bit less, Tony Parker always took a little bit less. So it's a kind of a new trend, but you got to build around somebody. And he's their young, he's 20,
Well, you can't
22,
go from this
23.
perennial powerhouse to having no one.
Right. And the Spurs takes care of their players. So.
Yeah, and he's a high character guy, so he's worth the investment. Number 5, Phil, DeAndre Jordan.
See, he's a guy I actually like on a lot of squads. I think Dallas would be really cool next to Dirk and Chandler Parsons. I actually don't even hate it in New York, the idea of there, but we've heard New York and some Greg Monroe talk. I actually also like, I was bringing this up a couple weeks ago, fictitious trade of Marc Gasol for LaMarcus for DeAndre Jordan. I thought that would be great.
I don't think he'd go to LA, but
Maybe not, but it's not Kobe. I mean,
yeah.
And it's not the Lakers, and you get to kind of stick it to them because it's the Clippers. And just take 2 seconds to think of Chris Paul, Marc Gasol, Blake Griffin.
Yeah, that's pretty
All
sick.
that passing.
Yeah,
Right?
that'd be amazing. I have a hard time giving that much money to a guy that can't play the last 2 minutes of the game.
Or shoot free throws, or have
yeah.
a jump shot, or
That I have an issue with that. I think he's staying with the Clippers.
Okay.
I think just for the Blake relationship that's so important. How things going?
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to translate into wins. I that team is fun. I get they like each other, but there's a certain part of this that I'm like, something about this makeup doesn't make sense.
About Lance Stevenson.
Number 6, a guy who plays both ends of the court, is Jimmy Butler. Phil, he didn't take a contract last year, I think pretty smartly. Do you think he's going to stay in Chicago?
I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink at him. Don't be surprised if potentially, Detroit throws some money at him. I can see him being a big-time Stan Van Gundy guy. We heard some rumors earlier in the year about the Los Angeles Lakers potentially if they whip out on some of the big guys there. You could play some different lineups now, drafting Russell. Who knows? But I think ultimately he stays just because he's part of their future and he has a very obvious role in a big market. And I think it's just a good situation for him.
Number 7? Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, about Jimmy Butler, they're saying he doesn't like playing with Derrick Rose. Chicago has an history of not really taking care of their free agents. I think he stays as well because they have the big side of the bat. I mean, he's restricted, so I don't think it'd be stupid to let him go. But it's Chicago.
Yeah, I think the city loves him there.
Correct.
And they got a new coach as well, so a different environment for him to play.
True.
Phil, number 7 is Greg Monroe, likely out of Detroit. There's going to be a void to fill there. Andre Drummond, ability for him to grow. Where do you think Moose is going to end up?
I've just got to preface this with saying, wow, they mishandled this last year.
Yeah.
When they signed him to that qualifying offer, terrible. I like him. I'm calling the New York Knicks all the way. I think he's going to end up being their center, and I think they play him with Porzingis and Carmelo and just kind of make it work.
Perfect fit in the triangle, great passer.
True.
It's going to be amazing.
Number 8, Goran Dragic, Phil, who forced his way.
He has to stay.
Forced his way out.
Please, both you guys, stay with Justice Winslow and take the East. I promise you, the Heat will be good.
Pat Riley going to put the rings on the table.
One of the first things he mentioned when he got traded to Miami was playing with Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
And we're not sure what's going on with Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
This is not settled. I'm not sure what's going on with that.
He's got Dwayne
But
Wade
this is-
Jr., Justice Winslow.
Yeah, but this is not settled.
Yeah.
And Dragic, I mean, he turned on team before. I mean, that ended pretty bad in Phoenix.
Also, they're kind of like that couple, like you can't just invite someone to a party. You have
Well,
to
that's
invite
it, right? So we'll see. That's gonna be really interesting.
Number 9, wrapping up almost. Brook Lopez opted out in Brooklyn.
I think it's just doing that to get a bigger deal. I think Brooklyn's in a lot of trouble in a lot of ways. He's going to get money. I ultimately see him staying. He's a bit of that old school basketball player. He's a little bit slower, and not everyone wants to take if they want to trade him for a guy like Roy Hibbert, sure, I guess Indiana would do that. But I think ultimately if we're just talking free agents, I don't think there's a lot of, all the players who have a lot of money don't really need a slow center.
Well, Milwaukee wants him. Milwaukee needs him. Jason Kidd's been talking
You would
about
put him
a new
next to
center.
Jabari Parker, though?
I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, and Jabari Parker's
I
a
worry
type
about
of
that defense a
mellow. Yeah, okay, I hear you. But they were a great defensive team last year. They could have hid him defensively with
Yeah,
big
you guys
feet
play John
and the long
Henson
guys.
instead of... Although Brook Lopez blocks shots, I'll give him that. He's a big
Correct,
guy.
right? And Jason Kidd really likes him, and
And they do
think
need
there's-
scoring.
He needs a lot of scoring. There's definitely a fit there.
His twin brother, Rodman's also on the block, and
Well, it seems like that whole Portland Trailblazers
yeah,
team is
he's just got to be blown up right now.
Yeah.
Number 10 to wrap up, and this is a very interesting one. Woodwendy, I'll throw it to you first. Draymond.
Draymond's staying in Golden State. Draymond's getting max money.
They got to throw it at him? Yeah.
They have to. I mean, of course, we're hearing Detroit is from Michigan. There's a little something there. But with what's going on in Golden State right now, they have something going on. They're creating something. It's not going anywhere.
He's young, Phil. He can take the money.
I agree.
home.
I think what ultimately
Stan Van
happens
Gundy.
is he signs a restricted free agent qualifier from Detroit and it gets matched.
That's it. Pretty much.
I-
Pretty much.
Because I think he'll show his good faith in Detroit, but he'll come back with open arms to Golden State. So, because he wants his money, and now's the time to take it. He's not going to have a better season than he just did.